Good morning, y'all. Welcome to another video on the Ludico Arms channel. So today we're going to replace the engine mounts. When we did the 4-link, we put a new transmission mount in this thing, and now it's time to go ahead and replace the engine mounts, because I don't know if you'll be able to see it from here, but all the rubber's getting all cracked. It's pretty old. So we're going to go ahead and throw a set in them. Now I've already removed the air box. If you need to remove your air box, it's just got two bolts and a nut in the bottom of it. The 2 bolts are up towards the front of it, and then the nut is at the back on a stud. Yours won't have this. Mine's been modified for my snorkel. But we get the air box out of the way. Makes it a lot easier to get to that motor mount right there. So now let me get some tools gathered up. We got the new motor mounts here. We'll get some tools, and these are just parts store motor mounts, nothing fancy. We'll get some tools gathered up, get a jack and some blocks under the bottom of the oil pan, and I'll get back with you and we'll go ahead and get these replaced. Okay, so these motor mounts have light down here. So you got a bolt that goes through it here with a nut on the back. Those need an 18 millimeter. So you got a bolt right here. Takes a 15 millimeter, and then on the back side there's a stud that sticks through. It's got a nut on it. So I'm going to go ahead and go underneath, because there's enough room for me to get the impact wrench on this underneath there. And then so I'm going to get those two. I'm going to get the nut off of the long bolt and the nut off of the stud on the bottom, and I've already got jack under there with a couple blocks of wood on it under the motor, because you got to support the weight of the motor when you do this. So let's hopefully zip those out quick, nice and easy like. Alright, so we got the nut off of this bolt that goes across, and we got the nut off the stud on the bottom. So now I've got to get this bolt here out. I got to grab a rag first. All right, got it moving now. All right, so now all of the bolts are out of this. So we need to take a little pressure off of it with the jack. There we go. So now this should pop up out of here. And as you can see, get you over here where I can. Yeah, that motor mount was definitely shot. So we'll put our new one in. So these are the same for both sides, so you don't have to worry about getting them mixed up. If you buy a kit or you go to buy them, you only have to buy the one kind, just 2 of them. So the stud goes in the front hole next to the motor. And then we'll start this in here. You want to get all of the nuts and bolts started before you try to tighten anything down. Now you can see that this is nowhere close to lined up right here. I've got to pick the motor up some before I'm going to be able to get that bolt in. So I'm going to go under there and put that nut on and pick up on the motor some and try to get that more close to lined up. So okay, so as it stands right now, I had to go back under there and loosen this nut a lot on this stud on the bottom, and it's still started on there, but it's sticking up some. But I did get the bolt through it, and now I've got to let the jack down and hopefully get this other small bolt lined up and get it in there, and then we can just put the nuts back on and tighten everything down. So let's see what happens. All right, I finally got that last bolt started in there, so it's tight. I got to go underneath and put the other, or tighten the nut up, and then put the nut back on that long bolt, and we'll be done with this side, and we'll move on to the other side. So putting the nuts back on is the opposite of taking them off, so I will bring you back when we move to the other side. As you can see, it's hot in here. All right. So now, dang, excuse me. That's all back in. All I can tell you is you got to wrestle it to get the bolts all back in it. And it's not a good time. So now we got to get this one. It's down here, straight down there. You can kind of see it. Not sure how much I'm going to be able to catch on film of getting that out of there, but it bolts in the same way. So I'm going to have to get that long bolt out, and then the 2 bolts that hold the mount to the unibody. So, see if I can gather my tools up. So I think we can get this one bolt right here pretty easy from here. And down to the floor it goes, of course, where everything goes. I see it. All right, let me get, I got to get a different extension. I'll be right back. Okay, now I'm not sure if you'll be able to see this, but I will try to get this here. It is a tight fit down in here, and basically it's the same as the other one. You just don't have as much room to work. So we got to get this long bolt out of here, and I've got the impact fished down in there, and I got to get my hand down in there and fight this AC line to get this over to the alright, so get my freaking hand down in here, catch this nut. Alright, whew. So that's that. We got that off of there. So now we've got to try to lift up on this thing, see if we can get that bolt to slide out. We had to go up quite a bit on this one, I think. Pull this up out of here. Alright, I'm gonna go jack up on this thing and I'll be right back. Alright, we got that out. It is nowhere near as bad a shape as the other side was. And I got the new one down in there. You can't hardly see it on this camera. It's down in there, and I've got the two small nuts that mount it to the body on there, and now I'm going to have to wrestle around. It's going to be just like the other side. I'm going to have to pry and pull and jack and everything else to get that long bolt back in there, and there's not really any way for me to film that. So let me go ahead and get that done, and then we'll come back. Just be prepared, you know, these things don't just bolt right in and line up. You've got to wrestle them some. Alright, so I have finally wrestled the last one in, and all the bolts are tight. Whew. It is warm out, just like a lot of the rest of the country. We are hot, and unlike some of the rest of the country, we're about 100% humidity around this joker here. So it is, needless to say, it is warm, and you do the least little bit of thing and you are going to be sweating your tail off. But now we've got our new engine mounts on, which was not part of the plan for today, but I noticed them when I pulled the air box off to do the steering gear, so they got done. Apologies for not getting every little bit on film, but as you might be able to understand, it's kind of hard to film in that little bitty hole and have two pry bars, your hand, a bolt, your third hand, you know, all stuck down in there at the same time, pushing and pulling and trying to get a bolt started. But that is it for that. So hopefully this helped somebody out or entertained you watching me struggle. So we will end this one, and we will see you back in the next video. Y'all have a good one.